BookTube, we are back. Let's go over my top 10 reads for the first half of 2025. They need to be on your TBR. Before we get into the books, I know it has been a minute here. I've been doing a lot of wild stuff. I've been traveling, doing author interviews, but now we are back in home base. Now we are back on the tube. And thank you for all for your patience. This year, I started off with 28 books in the first half of the year, 28 great books. And now I have the painstaking task of bringing it down to 10. But I'm curious for you, what are some of your, top books from the first half of the year? Because again, the way you start your year is always how you finish your year, and I hope you all start this year reading some absolute fire. I have some absolute fire to share with you all. And yeah, let's kind of just dive into my top 10 books of the year so far that I hope you will all add to your TBR. Starting off hot, coming in at number 10. And it's crazy that this is number 10 because again, this was a phenomenal read. It was a great ending to one of my favorite trilogies, Jade Legacy. So Jade Legacy, the third book in the Greenbone saga. The first one is Jade City, the second one is Jade War, and obviously this is Jade Legacy, the biggest book in the series for sure. It spanned across multiple, I think, decades if I remember correctly. But I thought it was a fitting ending to the Greenbone saga. If you're not familiar with the Greenbone saga, the way Jade City starts off with, it's you're on this island that's called Kakon, and on this island called Kakon, there's someone called Jade, and this Jade gives these Greenbone special abilities. They can run through walls, they can just do superhuman stuff. And there's two rival clans who are on this island, kind of fighting over this Jade. There's the Mountain Clan and there's the No Peak Clan, and the way Fonda Lee just writes her characters, not only from book one but leading up into Jade Legacy and then kind of end Jade Legacy 2 as well, is just so peak. And you really grow up with these characters, like literally grow up with these characters, go through everything that they would go through from, childhood to, mid-adult to adult. And she knows how to write devastating stories. And like I said, this coming at number 10 is crazy because I think this is one of the best trilogies of all time. But again, I've read some great books this start of this year. So yeah, Jade Legacy coming at number 10. But again, it's peak. Coming at number 9, we actually have a thriller entering into this list. And if you're not familiar with me, I'm more of a fantasy and sci-fi reader, but S.A. Cosby and King of Ashes comes in at number 9. This is a new release from him. I've read almost all of S.A. Cosby's books besides, I think, My Darkest Prayer, which I think is one of his earliest books, which I'll definitely get to. But King of Ashes just released this year, and my goodness, I'm telling you all, for my fantasy and sci-fi fans, if you ever want to dip your toe into thriller, S.A. Cosby and King of Ashes is one of them. So in this story, we follow Roman, our main character. He's living in Atlanta. He's living a great life. He's like in finance. He's like doing his thing, right? But he's from Virginia, and he gets a call back home from Virginia saying that his dad has been involved in like a tragic accident. And he goes home, and while his dad is like in the hospital, he has a brother and a sister, and he finds out that his brother Dante is involved in some crazy, different things with like this gangs. And it's up to Roman to kind of figure out how to navigate that. But also his sister is trying to figure out what happened to their mother years and years and years ago, because their mother is no longer with them too as well. The way S.A. Cosby writes his stories is just, it's like you're living a movie. And again, S.A. Cosby is going to probably make another stay on this list too as well. But at number 9, King of Ashes is just high octane. You're going to be reading a movie in your head. And like I said, the character work is amazing. And the ending, I think we can do a part 2. That's just me, S.A. Cosby. So I think we can do a part 2. But King of Ashes coming at number 9, just amazing story. All right, coming at number 8. And when I do these lists, I try not to have multiple books in series on a list like this. It's hard though, because Dark Age and Red Rising. Dark Age is the 5th book in Red Rising. If you're not familiar with Red Rising, there are 6 books out right now. The first one is Red Rising, second one's Golden Sun, third one's Morning Star, fourth one's Iron Gold, and the 5th one is Dark Age. And I'm one of the people who thought Iron Gold was actually a really great story. Like again, it is a huge difference from Morning Star to Iron Gold. So the first trilogy in the second half of the Red Rising series. However, I thought Iron Gold was great, but I'm like, okay, how are we going to get even better here from that there? I thought something was going to fall on that shelf. So your spin is real tight. We're not going to even cut that out. How is the series going to get even better here? And then enter in Dark Age. And the first word in that movie, or in that title, it's dark. Some of the darkest writing that you'll ever come across. And like I said, this sci-fi is probably one of the best sci-fis to ever read in terms of the series. And Dark Age had me stuck. Like I was on the couch downstairs, stuck because it was just absolutely brutal, but great story. And then leading into Lightbringer, which again, if you follow me for a while, I think you'll know this is going to be on this list somewhere too as well. So Dark Age coming at number 8, the 5th book in Red Rising series for sure. Coming in at number 7, we actually have A Clash of Kings. So for you all, I had a goal to get into A Song of Ice and Fire this year. And for those who don't know what A Song of Ice and Fire is, the TV show Game of Thrones is based off A Song of Ice and Fire, written by George R.R. Martin. And by the way, George R.R. Martin, this is video number 1 on BookTube, getting you to finish the series. But so I'm starting that journey this year. So I ended up reading A Game of Thrones, which was the first book in the series. And I thought it was great. I thought it was line for line, word for word, bar for bar, similar to season 1. It was great. But again, it wasn't like something that I'm calling home about, saying like, oh, this book is absolutely amazing. Then I get to A Clash of Kings. A Clash of Kings. And Clash of Kings kind of deviates a little bit from, let's say, I would say, the TV show, but not much, right? But still, just remembering Clash of Kings, just remembering, those vivid scenes. Just, again, George R.R. Martin, we need the rest of the series for sure. We need the rest of the series for sure. But Clash of Kings enters in this list just because how great it was written. And the battle scene, this is when like actual battle starts happening in this story, and it starts happening and it's absolutely insane. So Clash of Kings for sure. Coming in at number 6, we have Royal Assassin. So Royal Assassin is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. The first book is Assassin's Apprentice, second book is Royal Assassin, and the third book is Assassin's Quest. Now, reading Assassin's Apprentice, and this is by Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb is the OG when it comes to, high epic, slow burn fantasy. Assassin's Apprentice, you follow the main character Fitz as he's an illegitimate son of this prince, and he's brought into this kingdom. And in this kingdom, he has to learn so much. And one of those things are just being an assassin, to kind of help things out from there. And he's like, his schedule is booked and busy. Like I always make a joke that his Google calendar is like super full. He's getting Slack messages left and right. He's on Google Meets left and right. Like he is popping. And in the first book, I thought it was a great introduction, but I'm like, all right, like this is good. Like this is fine. I get to Royal Assassin. And by the way, this is slow burn, like slow burn. Get to Royal Assassin. And I just could not put it down. You're introduced to a character, by the way, which I'm not going to spoil it for you all. You're introduced to a character that is definitely a top tier character when you think about it. Not Fitz, like the other character. But the way Robin Hobb writes her stories, like first off, super devastating. I'm on the couch like at 3 a.m. in the morning, like trying to fight back thug tears in some parts. Like Roy Assassin is absolutely amazing. Now, Assassin's Quest, I think Assassin's Quest could have ended better, in my opinion. Kind of threw me off of the series itself, but again, thinking about the Royal Assassin, I definitely continue the entire entire Robin Hobb's writing. Sorry, the entire Robin Hobb's writing. See, I don't really cut out bloopers. Like you're gonna get it all of her writing, the entire series. It's not gonna turn me off of that just because like I know like the payoff's gonna be great, and I know you all are like edging me on to like do it. So yeah, for sure. So second book, Royal Assassin, definitely number 6. All right, top five. And again, these 5 like really are making my year, right? Like these 5 are so peak, and some older books, some newer books. But coming in number 5, we have Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. Now, this one threw me by a loop, caught my surprise, but really didn't catch me that much by surprise because Octavia E. Butler, I read her Parable of the Sower. I haven't continued that series. I think the second book's Parable of the Talents. Parable of the Sower I thought was great. And I'm kicking myself for pushing Kindred off for so long. Because, again, top 5 of a book that's was written in the 70s, like absolutely nuts. And in this one, we follow the main character who lives in California. The setting is around 1970. All of a sudden, she's thrust into the past and like some Back to the Future stuff. And thrust into this past, into the 1800s. And all of a sudden, she finds herself on a plantation, a slave plantation. And again, this is a black woman from the 70s, thrust back into the 1800s. And she's kind of tasked with protecting or making sure the son of a slave owner doesn't unalive themselves, Rufus. And that's what she's tasked with. But again, she is a black woman from the 1970s, and you can already tell there's going to be some strife in there. It's going to be some frustrating situations. And this sci-fi was just chef's kiss. And I think the only thing that I regret about this whole thing is that I didn't get a chance to interview Octavia E. Butler before she sadly passed away, because the way she writes her stories, Kindred, for example, just absolutely insane. So coming number 5 is Kindred. And again, I highly recommend anybody to read it, no matter what time period we are in. It's definitely some relevant stuff in her writing. But yeah, number 5, Kindred. Coming in at number 4, we have Carl's Doomsday Scenario, which is the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Now, so you all know Dungeon Crawler Carl made my my top list last year, and for good reason, right? Lit RPG, I'm not used to. Funny as heck, like, which again I wouldn't say I'm not used to, but it's newer to me, right? Like when I read books, it's either sad, high, epic, everything like that. But these books are absolutely hilarious. So then I get to book 2, and I'm like, it can't just get any better than book 1. Like book 1 was solid, it was great, and then for some reason I'm like, I didn't actually listen to the first book, right? Like in terms of doing immersion reading. If you're not familiar with immersion reading is when you listen to the audiobook and read the physical thing at the same time. It's actually a great experience. I actually got that from Michael Kiss. Like I didn't know what that was until like last year. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just immersion read, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. And Jeff Hayes is the narrator of it, and he is absolutely hilarious. He does all the voices. So Princess Donut, if you're not familiar with Princess Donut, and Carl. Let's kind of like talk about what the story is about, at least the first book, and then like maybe I'll do some teach for the second one. So the first book, the intro to the series is, we're on Earth, and all of a sudden, the human beings, they step outside, right? Like they can be outside for anything, for taking a smoke or like walking their dog or doing anything like that. And randomly, all the buildings are crushed. They're just crushed because they are kind of sourced for metals and things like that. Carl happens to be somebody who stepped outside, Donut too as well. And they're outside, all the buildings are crushed, and these dungeons start opening up, and they end up going to these dungeons. And what happens after that is absolute mayhem. They have to like battle and like kind of like do all these like tasks to get to the next level, to get to the next floor. It's brutal, but it's also hilarious every step of the way, and I love the way it's done. And then in the second book, it just takes it to a whole nother level in my eyes. Again, I'm not gonna go over the setting of it, but I actually enjoyed the setting of this book. Third book was, I thought the third book was great. Again, there's some confusing stuff that happens in there, but you're supposed to be confused on purpose. And fourth book I thought was really good too as well. But the second book still to this day is my favorite book in the series. I also have an interview with Matt Dinneman on my page too as well. If you're not familiar with him, he's the one that wrote Dungeon Crawler Carl, and truly a genius when it comes to just humor and things like that. So Carl's in this scenario for sure, definitely coming in at number 4. I almost forgot what number that was, but because it could be anyone. But number 4 for coming in at number 3. And if you follow me on here for a little bit here, fantasy, sci-fi, thriller are my go-tos. But somehow, some way, a romantasy has made my top 3 to start off this year. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. So this is a romantasy. And if you're not familiar with Rachel Gillig, she wrote the Shepherd King duology. And I ate the Shepherd King duology up. I'm not really a romantasy reader. Like, I just know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. And I'm not really a romantasy reader or a romance reader. Now, I'm not saying I won't read it. I definitely will read more as we go along. But it's just not what I would choose on an everyday basis. I would read anything Rachel Gillig puts out for sure. And this was one that came out, I think, in May. And it did not disappoint. So in The Night and the Moth, we follow the main character, Six. She's considered a diviner, and she's a part of this group of diviners. And what they kind of do is they read people's visions or, predict their futures, almost like some horoscope type stuff. But they do it by doing some unique way of like kind of getting the magic out of them. I'm not going to kind of go from there in terms of like go too far into spoilers. Rachel Gillig has some interesting magical systems, but they're super simple. In this one is like a push and a pull. So again, if you have a coin and let's say you flip it on one side, that one side, it can transport you across the room, but the other side can be very destructive. And that kind of comes around in the story too as well. But while we are, it has to do with the omens, but while we are here in terms of the actual, with the Six and like where she's at with her other diviners, all of a sudden the diviners start going missing and she's the only one that's left. And in the backstory, there's a king and a knight who come to this town to kind of get their vision read, or the king comes to get his vision read and kind of see from there. And all of a sudden, in cahoots together, they escape, kind of the cathedral, and they try to figure out A, where are the other diviners, and B, where are like what these omens really represent, and what kind of go from there. And So that's the fantasy part of it. And then the romance side of it, again, I maybe I'm a little PG when it comes to like romance, romantasy, and I love the fact that this was like I wouldn't say PG because again they did do the deed, but after doing the deed, like stuff didn't start shooting out of ears or noses or different orifices. Like it was actually like some chill romance stuff. So I'd probably say 80% fantasy, 20% romance, and that's where I love to play. At least for now. Maybe I'll expand a little bit, maybe do a 70-30, 60-40. I don't know if I'd be able to do a 50-50 or 40-60. I don't know. Maybe one day. But I just know that Rachel Gillig at number 3 when it comes to Night and the Moth, solidified for sure. Coming at number 2, again, I'm acting brand new this year, right? Fantasy and sci-fi, but number 2 is actually a thriller. It's Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I told you he was going to come back on this list. Razorblade Tears, 5.5 out of 5. Razorblade Tears is one of the best thrillers you'll read of all time. S.A. Cosby's really just been on a tear with his thrillers, and again, this one is absolutely nuts. In this one, we follow the journey of 2 dads whose sons who were together end up getting tragically murdered. And while these 2 dads have a convict past, they are out for retribution. They're out to get revenge on their sons, but they're also out on this journey of self-realization. They weren't the best dads and understanding of the choice that their sons made, choice that they wouldn't have made, right? But now they're on this journey to kind of figure out, and you hear the dialogue back and forth between in their head. And I will say this, that one of the best characters of all time, Buddy Lee, is in this story, and it's just, this story is just absolutely immaculate. And I know a lot of you are reading Razorblade Tears right now or going to read Razorblade Tears. Again, it's one of them ones, and it's titled Razorblade Tears. It should be titled Thug Razorblade Tears because, again, if you have no emotion when it comes to this story, which is really an empathy builder, because again, we all don't make the same decisions. We all don't make the same choices. We all don't agree with everyone's choices, but especially family and friends, like you just never know what might happen. And then just to be on the other side, looking back in terms of what could have happened if you just accepted them. Like it's just, story's absolutely immaculate. Story's absolutely crazy. And yeah, Razorblade Tears, number 2, one of them ones. Finally, drum roll please. This kind of should not come as a surprise for anybody on here, but my favorite book of the year, and probably still one of the best sci-fi books of all time, is Lightbringer, the 6th book in the Red Rising series. Lightbringer, like what more can I say about this incredible series, this incredible book? When you look at a story, and when you look at a story that's just absolutely immaculate, you have your protagonists and you have your antagonists. And Lightbringer probably has one of the best villains, the best antagonists of any story that you're gonna come across. Like there's times where you're like, oh, I kind of understand what he's talking about. I kind of understand him. And it's times like he's a scum of the earth. And I'm not going to go into who that is because I think some of you are going through Red Rising this year, and I don't want to give that away because again, it's just I don't want to do spoilers unless I tell you it's a spoiler. But let's just say one of the best antagonists that it just makes the story, and obviously the other characters make the story too as well. Moments make this story too as well. It's just a complete perfect book, and we have Red God coming out next year, and I if you want to give me an arc, if you want to send the arc, just give me something. Give me something. Like the story's absolutely incredible, and I highly recommend that series to anybody. So, Lightbringer should not come as a surprise to anybody there. My number 1 read so far of the first half of the year. I don't know how anything's going to top it, but again, we've done it before. So, Lightbringer, number 1 for sure. There you have it, my people. My top 10 books of the first half of 2025. Let me know what were your top 10, top 5, whatever it is. And yeah, I won't be gone too long like I was last time. I was just busy, but now we're back. We're back with more 2 videos. We're back with all that stuff there. We're back with some more surprises too as well. You all know the interviews come over here. And yeah, no, I really look forward to kind of come back. I didn't pull up with me in person, by the way, and you're like, where's the YouTube videos? Like, stop screaming at me. No, I'm playing. It's a good push in the back end. Going to these cities and just hearing you all, enjoying the YouTube content. It's truly amazing because I do put some good time in this too as well. So I'm back, my friends. And as always, everyone, happy reading.